On February 9, a group of JNU protesters assembled and said some disturbingly scary things. Now, I didn't want to jump the gun, so I waited for 5 days, gathering a fair amount of information from both the sides. Recently, the student leader of JNU came out and clarified in a speech that one particular quote was not uttered by JNU students, so I'm going to take that one off. Now, let's analyze logically what these students said. Calling Afzal Guru a martyr, a man who was charged with abetting the attack on Parliament in 2001 that killed 9 people. So why would these JNU students call him a martyr? Two possibilities. One, either they accept that he was a terrorist and are against the death penalty, but instead of condemning the death penalty in their slogans, they chose to call him a martyr, which basically implies they support terrorism. So I don't think this is the reason. The second possibility is that they believe he had no connection with the crime, was completely innocent and wrongfully convicted, which would make him a victim, still not a martyr. Now, this is what surprised me. In none of the interviews, those student leaders had the balls to say that they believe he was innocent. But when they were conveniently hiding in a pack of 20-30 people, they confidently labeled him a martyr. So, when asked individually on interviews, the reply they give are far-fetched theories about the whole judicial system being flawed and corrupt. Apparently, they know some things that none of us do. If you break it down, here's what they believe. The trial was unfair because there wasn't enough evidence to prove Afzal was linked with the terrorist attack, which eventually led to his execution. So, what you're basically saying is, you don't know if he was really guilty or innocent. Now let me explain to you the difference between a moron and a sensible person. A sensible person would argue by saying, because I don't know, I would like to know for sure by debate, discussions, questioning, and opening a line of fair investigation and answers from our government. I wish you had done that. How you argued was, because I don't know if he was guilty or innocent, his execution was unfair, which means the government framed him and is evil. Therefore, he is a martyr. What you don't understand is, the moment you open an argument with I don't know, you invite two possibilities. There's a 50% chance that you are right, which means the Supreme Court is corrupt, the entire trial was a cover-up, and the ruling party is evil. And there's a 50% chance you are wrong. And that is precisely why you're a moron. Because the person you called a martyr has a 50% chance of being a terrorist and a murderer. You understand the logic. Unlike everybody, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm actually accepting your argument and then explaining to you how moronic it is. Now, you can present another argument that you called him a martyr only because you are 100% sure the trial was a cover-up and Afzal Guru was innocent. And that would reveal you are even a bigger moron because it only exposes your childlike arrogance in the face of the massive evidence against your claims. Another slogan was, India go back. Now this one I completely fail to understand. India go back to where? Where is it that you want India to go and what is it that you want to bring back? India has always been here, you idiots. Another slogan was calling for the destruction of India. India ki barbadi and finishing Afzal Guru's work. A country is its people. Without the people, India is nothing but land and water on planet Earth. So when you say you're going to destroy India, what you're saying is you will destroy people. Now what does destroy mean? Ending something with a violent connotation. You're directly talking about murder. I don't think you realize this, but this is the very definition of a terrorist. A terrorist does not mean an Arab commando. It means any person who terrorizes and threatens to destroy the peace. When you say you're going to destroy people, you're simultaneously implying that you are a potential security threat to the nation. And this is another reason why you are morons, because only a crowd full of half-minded persons would shout that out without realizing they're advertising a declaration of war against their own country. Imagine if a couple of politicians in Pakistan had said the same statement, they will not stop until the destruction of India is complete. How would you interpret their intentions? Freedom of speech or the declaration of war? To those who are defending these students, saying it's freedom of speech, to understand the concept of freedom of speech, you must first learn to differentiate between criticism and threat. To criticize is freedom of speech. To threaten is breaking the law. Take this very phrase, destruction of India, and replace India with your name. Now imagine a group of 20 people somewhere shouting out that they will destroy you. You wouldn't just sit calmly in your home and say, they're only exercising their freedom of speech. No, you'd pee your pants and call the police ASAP. Another thing that I noticed in 2 interviews of the student leader was he defended his stance by bringing up Arundhati Roy. Let me educate you on something, my friend. Creativity does not ensure sound judgment. Nowhere will you find a creative person being defined as a natural expert on moral, social, or political commentary. She is famous as a fictional writer. Fiction means not real. So a fictional writer basically means a documentator of imagination. Saying Arundhati Roy is an expert on the 2001 Parliament attack is like inviting Coldplay to be a part of the committee on a nuclear deal. That's the logic you're going with. Now, all of this basically comes back to the argument of India being intolerant. And regarding that, I just want to say one thing. You are lucky. You are lucky that you're born in India. Because if you were born anywhere left or right geographically, you would have found out the real meaning of an intolerant nation. China is a communist nation with the highest number of executions in the world. I don't even have to tell you the price of freedom of speech in Pakistan. Even in America, if you used slogans such as destruction of USA while supporting a terrorist, you wouldn't know the first thing that will hit you. You'll be scooped up by the FBI, which will then map your genome to get details on your entire ancestry. You'll be labeled a potential threat to the nation and will be put under some sort of surveillance program without your knowledge for years until they've confirmed you're just a moron. So count your blessings that you're born in India. Now, in my opinion, this is actually not a debate on nationalism. You think it is because you assumed that these students knew what they were talking about. Tell me, before calling them anti-nationals, did you entertain the simple possibility that maybe they're just stupid? And this is why they will never admit that they are anti-nationals, because deep inside they believe they're doing a highly patriotic thing. Basically, it's a debate between stupidity and sensibility. These students pegged an issue but didn't have the maturity nor the sensible inclination to approach it objectively. And this approach also helps me understand the people who support these students, because I, like them, understand their sentiment. But whether I respect their sentiment depends entirely on the language of their message, which was seriously effed up. Comically speaking, these are kids who think the world owes them a big deal. So screw any constitutional procedure, they will just force it out of the government by putting it in a headlock. So lastly, my advice to all the impressionable young minds would be, because somebody can shout on a microphone, use rage, get you all riled up, doesn't always mean they're right. Use your common sense and logic. Chances are, in order to aggressively motivate you, they will target 3 basic emotions: hatred, discomfort, and fear. And if the necessary precautions aren't taken, it could result to one of the greatest disasters in human history. So, my young friends, if you have to follow someone, then why not follow the one with a better message for humanity and not the opposite?